Welcome to another one of our Equip 3-minute video series. We are continuing to talk about the science of self today. In one of our previous recordings, we talked about the science of self and focused on competencies, or the skills that makes up what a person is. Today we'd like to look at how a person behaves. So they may have certain skills, but how they decide to implement or use those skills in the workplace is a slightly different take on it. So we use a scientific instrument called a DISC assessment in order to look at behavioral factors, how people prefer to behave in the workplace. And there are basically four ways that we break these down. We look at, some people tend to be more of a dominant. They want a domineering type of a style. They tend to be a little bit more demanding, egocentric, driven, ambitious. So that would be the D in our DISC profile. The I is influencing. We call them influencing. These are the people that are bubbly, effusive, inspiring. They tend to be kind of very optimistic, kind of out there, very outgoing. The S in our DISC profile is steady. They like steadiness, stability. They tend to be very patient. They like a slower pace. And it's the same with our last one, the C's. The C's, we use the term compliant or conscientious. They tend to be very systematic, process-oriented, that cautious. They want to take their time. So if we looked at competencies and maybe found out that somebody was very good at what they do, like goal setting for themselves, that's a certain type of a competency, then we'd have to also look at DISC to see how they like to go about implementing that particular competency. Whereas a demanding person would be very straightforward and to the point, a D-oriented person would go right to the goal, whereas a C-oriented person would take much more time, plan out the goal, look at all the different aspects of that goal, would want to process even for goal setting. An I, while they may be good at goal setting, they're going to take a much different approach to how they would go out and approach those goals. Same thing with the S's. Those goals would be more people-oriented, would be more, would definitely involve potentially more political type of an influence. We'll look at political, not in terms of politics, what we think out there for elections, but in terms of our organizations. When we look at another assessment that we can use in the science of self, when we look at motivators. So that will be coming up in a future Equip 3. So why do we think of this in terms of science? People can tell you how they like to behave, right? How they prefer to behave. But let's take how they tell us and what we observe and actually place some science to it with the correct assessment, whether it be a competencies or skills assessment, or in this case, a behavioral assessment like DISC. Thanks very much for your 3 minutes. See you next time.